What inspired you to start the Gateway Conference?
Well, it was actually several years ago, obviously 8 years ago. I was talking to one of my portfolio managers that I'm pretty close to in several of my companies, and they were saying there's just really a lack of good small cap conferences. A lot of the investment banks would come and they'd have their particular conferences, but they're very biased, and there seemed to be a void of, a service where you could get a bunch of different companies that are in the small cap space, a bunch of the portfolio managers, because some of the old ones that were around years ago, they're not around anymore. So with what's changed in the sales cycle and with the buy side accounts, a lot of the sell side firms are unable to kind of run their own conference, at least the same success. So there's clearly a void. So I decided to start this, like I said, 8 years ago.
This is year 7 of the Gateway Conference. How's it evolved over the years?
Well, gosh, in the very first one, I thought I had nightmares that I was going to come down and there'd be nobody there. I know it was the crickets, but then after, the first one we had 40 people, 40 companies there. We had about 100 investors, and now I look at it in year 7, and there's over 500 attendees. We have 100 companies. There's almost 300 investors that show up. So it's just completely grown. We now have bigger sponsors. We have Cowen. We have Northland, we've had B. Riley this year, and so there's a lot more involvement with investment banks, but it's definitely grown and kind of like where it's headed.
You still see some opportunity for future growth down the road as well?
Yeah, to some extent. I mean, I think that we have 2 full days. I think we could grow a little bit, but to some extent, I think that's what makes it nice. It's quaint, it's small. Investors all get access to accounts, and I think that's kind of unique. So I wouldn't want to get too much bigger, but we have a little room to grow.
So who should attend the Gateway Conference?
Well, it's targeted very specifically at not only small companies, so any public company or soon-to-be public company that's kind of in the sub-billion-dollar market cap space. That's kind of where we start, and that's the one side. So somebody who's looking for exposure, looking for new investors, going to meet new analysts, potentially a couple bankers, anyone who's active in the microcap space. On the other side of it, we also think that there should be all the great small institutional investors. So we have, so if you're running a portfolio and small cap is some part of your strategy, then this is a conference for you. You get a lot of great fresh ideas that aren't necessarily sponsored by a sell-side firm.
From a variety of different industries as well. That's one thing I've noticed is you don't focus on any in particular niche.
That's correct. So there's not just one particular industry, and that's how our firm's set up. We have somebody who runs consumer, we have somebody who runs life sciences, we have somebody who runs digital media, we have somebody who runs technology, and so this conference is really just a cross-section or a microcosm of my entire firm. Yeah.
So the conference is 2 days long, but Liolios operates 365 days a year. So once the conference is done, what do you do? What's Liolios do? What's next?
Take a deep breath. We kind of debrief. We kind of figure out all the action items, and you'd be surprised how quickly we start again for the next year. My team has done a phenomenal job. This thing is all possible because of them. Larissa, our managing directors, they really get right on this, and it's a lot of planning, but it's really just kind of following up on all the people we met and making sure we close all the loops.
And once it's done, do you have a feeling of relief? Is it kind of sad it's over, or are you already looking at next year?
Well, there's a relief for about 24 hours, yes, but then, I get excited. I get excited because I see the growth, we see the people we've met, we see all the opportunity. I think most importantly, our brand gets shown around, and I get a lot of great feedback about Gateway itself and about the brand, and we get to meet new people. So I actually feel really excited when it's all over.